advocate here. I know it's been a while since I've done a video in this format, but I'm glad I came across this video. I was just kind of scouting around on YouTube and I came across this video, and this is a topic that I've been thinking about for a long time and haven't really said anything about it. And it's nice and short. It's a nice short 5-minute video. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. And, I'm going to do some quick pauses and do my little interjections here and there. But this is important because this is something that I know a lot of people talk about, but they don't really feel comfortable being vocal about it because they don't want to be seen as the bad guy. But let's go ahead and let's get into this video.
I've been training to be a championship sprinter since I was 8 years old. With the help of my parents, my coaches, and my teammates, I did it. By sophomore year of high school in 2018, I was one of the top 5 female high school sprinters in Connecticut. But then, one day, I wasn't. At the state championships that year, 2 people passed all of us girls, literally. They finished first and second in our races, dominating the field. Were they more motivated? Did they train harder? I don't think so. But they did have an edge, a big one we couldn't match. They were biological boys who said they were transgender girls. Do you think that's fair? Males competing against females? Before you make up your mind, let me tell you a bit about what it took for me to become a top female sprinter. It meant training with my team every day after school for at least 2 hours, working to shave fractions of a second off of my time in the 100 and 200 meter dash. It meant not hanging out after school or going out with friends on the weekends. It meant getting up early every Saturday morning and competing all day at a meet. It meant not indulging in any of the things that might cost me my dream.
And that's so when I think about this stuff, that's exactly what goes through my mind when I think about these sports. These girls that go out there and they play women's sports, they put just as much fucking effort and time and training into perfecting their craft as men do when they're doing the same thing in their craft. So for the people who try to preach about fairness and inclusion, it seems very unfair and not very inclusive to infringe upon the fairness of the people, the women that are competing in these sports, knowing that when you are a transgender male going into a female sport, especially if you've already gone through puberty, let's not even get into the fact that you haven't had the operational surgery yet and you're still walking around producing testosterone. Even if you've gone through the process of completing the pubertal cycle as a male, your joints are stronger, your ligaments are stronger, your tendons are stronger, you have more muscle mass. All that stuff is like a permanent physiological change. Your bones are stronger and denser. You're built different. You're built different. And I don't understand why we have such a hard time in society just accepting the fact that males and females are different and that there's certain things that one should do and the other should do, and they should just do them differently. You could do the same thing, but not together. Because to try to lump a male into a female sport puts the females at a clear disadvantage. And I feel like a lot of the times, like the women, a lot of the women don't want to complain about the fact that these men are competing in their sports because they don't want to put themselves in a position where, like, oh, okay, well, if I speak up about this, then maybe I'm admitting that, maybe that put me in a position to admit that men can do some things better than women. And I don't want to have to come to terms to have to vocalize that, physically speaking, men are more dominant than females. And I think that that might not be all females, because obviously this female here is in this video, so she's very, very comfortable expressing the how unfair it is to be put in this position. But I think there is a portion of women out there especially probably more people that are more on the feminine or feminist leaning side of the fence that don't want to admit that men can do some things better than women, that they will just eat the loss, and they know internally that it's not fair, but they will just not say anything about it, which is self-defeating, by the way. To me, I don't understand how you could do that. But like I said, you have men out, you have men and you have women. There's a reason why nature created opposites, because there are things that men do better than women, and there are things that women do better than men. They both need each other to create a whole. They're two halves of a whole. And no one side should think that they are way all completely 100% better than the other one at everything, because that's just not possible. It's just not possible. Anyways, I digress. Let's continue.
And here's the thing about the two biological males that took the top 2 girls' medals in the state of Connecticut. Their times were not even good enough to qualify them to compete in the state championships on the boys' team.
Oh, okay. And yeah, that's a good point. So this is another thing I thought about. I was like, you know what? I don't like to say this, but I will say it. I will say it because it is how I feel. I honestly feel that a lot of transgenderism is mental illness. It is 100% mental illness. And that's a really good, I won't get into it in this video, but that's why there's a good reason for all the bad statistics behind people who are transgender. A lot of with depression, suicide, blah, 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 blah. And obviously they try to turn it on society, but that's an easy cop out. I think it goes a whole lot deeper than that. But I always thought when I used to watch these transgender males competing in female sports, the first thing that went through my mind is somebody who played football for almost 20 damn years. I said, these yahoos are competing in female sports because they are not good enough. They are simply not good enough to compete amongst their peers. They are not good enough to compete amongst the males where they belong. They suck at sports. They suck at what they do in their own biological realm. So they are going to go and cheat the system and go compete where they feel like they could be more competitive. I mean, it is what it is. People can sit here and call me an asshole all day. I really don't give a shit, because to me, that's exactly what that is. Because somebody who really cares about fairness and inclusion and will just acknowledge it, like, you know what? I feel like a woman. I want to be a woman, but I know I was born with these man-like attributes. It is not fair for me to go into this sport and compete amongst these women and take away their opportunity to win for my personal benefit and gain. But again, let's continue.
Let me say that again in case you missed it. Their times were not good enough to qualify them for the boys' state championships. But 2 years in a row, they won first and second place competing against the girls. All in all, these two biological males won 15 women's state championship titles. Some in the media have accused me of being a sore loser. They tell me to run harder. But the biological changes that males go through during puberty are so significant, they gain an insurmountable advantage in strength and in speed. That's why boys always competed against boys and girls against girls. U.S. runner Allison Felix is an inspiration to me. She's the fastest female sprinter in the world. Her lifetime best for the 400 meters is 49.26 seconds. But based on 2018 data, nearly 300 high school boys in the U.S. alone could beat that record. What we are talking about then is not just boys taking women's trophies, though they are. And we aren't talking about biological boys taking women's athletic scholarships, though they'll do that too. When biological boys are allowed to compete against girls in sports like track, where the differences in performance are so great, we are talking about girls getting shut out, never getting the chance to win or even compete at all. When two biological boys took the first and second place spots against me in the 2019 Indoor State Championship, I lost the opportunity to participate at the New England Championships. I lost the chance to be scouted by top coaches, possibly even to win scholarships. Right now, biological boys are being allowed to set records on the girls' team, deleting girls' records, erasing the achievements of actual girls, and setting a standard probably no girl can meet, no matter how much she trains or how hard she tries. The reason that we have girls' sports in the first place is to give female athletes with talent, hard work, and dedication an equal opportunity to shine and be recognized. But girls will never have that opportunity if they are forced to compete with biological boys in sports like track and field, softball, volleyball, or basketball.
All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop the video there. I don't need to finish this. The point has been proven. The point has been proven. The message has been spoken. Boys, men do not belong in female sports. Now, so let me just say this. There are women, let's flip the script for a second. There are women who are ballsy enough, no pun intended, that want to get out there and compete in men's sports. And some of them, surprisingly, there are those rare occasions where they make it. They make it onto a professional team. Like you see like these success stories and stuff like that. But that's the point I'm trying to make. If it was so balanced and fair, women would be much more open about trying to just jump into a man's sport and compete amongst the men. But they don't. Why do they not? They don't because they know they are at a clear physiological disadvantage to try to go jump into a man's sport. A woman trying to jump, let's just say a woman football player, I don't even know if, I haven't really looked into that, but I don't know if there's women football teams. I don't think there are. There may be one floating around them. But anyways, the point is, a woman football player does not want to go out there and go play football and go bang heads with grown ass men. Maybe like Pop Warner, maybe junior high. Maybe that's a little bit different, right? But when we're talking about grown folks, you don't want to be a woman. I don't care how big you are or how strong you think you are. You don't want to jump out there with some grown ass men and go bang heads with men in professional football. Same thing. Basketball, baseball, all these sports, track and field. Women know deep down inside, honestly, if they're being honest with themselves from a physical performance standpoint, they are at a disadvantage. There's an entire reason why even the military, when it comes to physical fitness standards, there are men's standards and women's standards. If everything was fair and equal across the board, it would just be human standards based on age and height alone, not on gender. But that is not the case. So for our society to allow these males who want to pretend that they're women to compete against biological women and take away not only their feeling of achievement and success, but sometimes even their opportunities is wrong. It's wrong. And it should be stopped. It should be stopped. And the individuals who have the audacity to try to join females among these sports should be absolutely 100% ashamed of themselves. And anything that they achieve or anything that they win as a result, it should be an asterisk next to it. They shouldn't even be proud of themselves. Because technically, you won, they won by cheating.